Are you recording, Albert?
I am recording, yes.
All right, awesome. And Sierra, you are as well?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, well, this is the first episode of On the Horn with LG. Woo!
Ooh, cool.
And today, we're on the horn with two friends of mine. I like to say, I hope.
Of course.
And if you guys would introduce each other. Introduce yourselves, not each other. Well, do you want to introduce each other? That would be funny.
Yeah, I mean, I could introduce Sierra.
Right.
So
Right.
this is Sierra. She is the current creative director for Longhorn Gaming.
Right.
And I think she's majoring in advertising, right?
Oh, wow.
Okay, great, cool. I got that.
Awesome. All right. And Sierra, would you like to introduce our friend?
It's Albert.
Yes.
All right. He's just Albert.
I know you're really good at user interface design.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Sierra, like Albert said, you are the current creative director of LG, and Albert, you are the previous creative director of LG. You're majoring in the same thing as me, AEC.
Yeah.
And this, I guess I'll just start with the questions. So we're talking about each other a little bit already, but I want to ask specifically. Let me pull up the questions. Well, first let's start out with what our goal is while playing Minecraft today.
That sounds good.
I think, well, we found a village over there, so that's sort of off the docket. There's a big fun cave over here at spawn that we could explore.
Yeah, that sounds good.
There's
can do that.
already iron and lava over here. So I'm going to go grab some wood while I ask you the question. So first question. You guys are both were at one point on the creative team, or were the leader of the creative team. Have you guys always been interested in, art and, creative endeavors, even before, coming to UT? We'll start with Sierra.
Actually, I did art for a long time. I've been drawing since I was really little, but I didn't really think about pursuing any career in art actually until my junior year. I actually thought I was going to study psychology instead.
Junior year of high school or college?
High school. I ended up getting this I signed up for a graphic design class, and I got this really great teacher, and she assigned us this project where we had to bring just anything from our house and make an advertisement on it. And I don't know what it was, but I went really crazy with it, and I made 3 different projects.
Whoa.
And I just realized that I really, really liked doing that specifically. And that's when I was like, hey, I've been drawing and I like doing art and stuff, so I can just put that into a business perspective and just do advertising.
That's awesome.
And
it really seems like you found your niche pretty quick.
Yeah, it was pretty nice to have that that moment where you're like, yeah, that's definitely what I want to do.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. All right, and Albert, what about you? Have you always been a fairly creative guy?
That's a good question. So I mean, I have a really similar story to what Sierra said. In high school, we had the CATE department, which is the career for or the Center for Advanced Technology. I honestly don't remember what it was, but basically IT jobs, technical skills that you could learn as a high school student. And they had recently started offering a graphic design course. but before I could take the graphic design course, I had to take this animation course so I could learn Illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. But I had a great teacher who taught all of those classes. And I think his name was like Mr. Espinosa. I don't remember. Yeah, Mr. Espinosa. And he gave me like an advertising assignment. It was like design this menu, logo, and like some other materials for a restaurant. And we were in a team. We came up with like the restaurant, like a fake restaurant. What else? Like some materials for it, and it was just like a really good time. I had a great time just like coming up with these ideas and trying to solve this problem. And I think that's when I first started getting introduced to like design as like a career.
Okay.
And so that's kind of something that I wanted to pursue for a long time. But then I realized that I wasn't sure if graphic design was the specific role that I wanted to fill. Mostly because like I was also interested in video games, which is why I'm like studying arts and entertainment technologies. That's another story. But yeah, I mean, I kind of came from the same background. I wanted to create experiences for people. That's something that I realized early on because I like to play Dungeons and Dragons. I like to play music. Like I was in band, so I would just like, whenever someone was enjoying something that we were playing, it really it resonated with me, and I knew that I just wanted to do something like that. So I think that's kind of like how I discovered that I wanted to be creative. Right now I'm trying to figure out where I want that exactly to be.
Yeah. Wow.
But
those are great, really great, like TV show level stories. Like Sierra, you had a great teacher who like inspired you or helped you along, like figuring out what you wanted to do. And Albert had a similar thing, but it seemed like a lot of that was like self-discovery. Which is super cool, I think. So that's great. That's great. You guys have always been creative people. So do you think you slotted into your role? Actually, before that, did you start as the director of the creative director at LG, or Albert and Sierra, did you start as crew members and work your way up to being the director?
I started as a crew member.
Yeah. For me, it was I think LG was having some trouble with their current creative directors. They didn't have people that could commit full time. And then my roommate Kevin, who was the events director, was like, "Hey, I heard you're looking for like a new thing to join. We have a creative director position open. You should try joining." And I had worked like a design job that past summer, and so I was like really interested in pursuing and learning more about design. And so I was like, okay, like I can approach it from like a design background. So I just applied for the position, talked about my time doing graphic design for the Odin Institute of Computational Engineering and Sciences here on campus.
Oh, wow.
And then just became the creative director. And it was definitely an interesting experience because I had never been in LG before. I mean, I had gone to like a few LAN events and I'd like knew some people that were in it, but I never really like was a part of the leadership or like the crew beforehand. So it was definitely interesting getting like assimilated to everything.
Okay. So you didn't have any experience with the organization prior to joining, save for what I assume Kevin had told you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right, that's great. I think I'm gonna switch from asking you both the same question, having you both answer, to I'm gonna ask one of you, and then I'll ask the other one if that makes sense. Like I'm gonna ask one person all the questions, and then the next person all the questions. That way we can sort of compare. And I think we'll start with Sierra if that's all right.
Okay.
So, do you think you slotted really well into your position as creative director, having a background as a crew member? Like, was it hard for you to mesh with the rest of the leadership, or do you think it was a little easier?
I think, personally, I think creative tends to work a little bit more independently from LG. So I felt like going from crew member to director, I felt like I had to get to know the other directors more and like at what the other like teams did, because as a creative member, you don't really like, if you don't go to any of the events, you're not really like exposed to all of that.
Yeah.
It's more like you kind of just like get your project and you work on it and you turn it in, and there's not really like a lot of like having to go out and talk to people. So like going from, working by myself to like having to talk to everyone was really different.
Yeah.
'Cause I had like I'd had like leadership positions before, but I think LG, at least especially recently, has been really focused on like trying to get everybody involved and like get everyone communicating.
Yeah.
So it was a little different at first, going from just like a crew member to director, but I feel like the other directors are really easy to get along with. So like, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I know exactly what you mean. I have been a crew member since you were the one that interviewed me.
Yeah.
How long has it been? I think I joined in, I want to say January was when I officially joined.
I think, yeah.
January of 2020. Because I remember going to Winter Wonderland in December and finally being, oh no, you're right, Albert?
Yeah, I think it DC'd for a little bit. I'm back in.
Okay. I remember Kevin finally convinced me to like actively pursue becoming a member a little bit before Winter Wonderland, and that was when I was starting to sort of hound Albert about it, because at the time he was still a creative director. But I think since you were the up and coming one, that was why you interviewed me. And being a crew member, like now, especially with all these changes in leadership, with Austin graduating, Austin was the previous president of Longhorn Gaming. With Austin leaving and with Albert leaving and with Kevin leaving, there's been a lot of change in leadership, and I've seen it firsthand, but there's a big disconnect between like the community and the crew. And I think you're exactly right. I think they're trying to focus on bridging that gap, because it's really important for like community engagement, for people to feel comfortable, not even just crew members, but like community members as well, to feel comfortable with like the leadership of an organization they're joining.
Yeah, that's also something that I had noticed, like during my time. Like I realized that, it's kind of difficult when we have a bunch of projects that are just like online, and we just kind of like, do them and then meet up. Oh, diamonds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Sorry.
Do you even have iron? I'm mining iron right now. I'll come
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do. I just died though, so I need to like find where it was.
Oh,
but
shoot. Right.
Anyway, sorry. I'm getting murdered by a skeleton.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I mean, like one of the things that I wanted to do was just kind of like make sure that we felt like a team, and like hung out, and like did things. I don't think we were able to accomplish that to what I had envisioned during my time there, but I'm glad that like things are different now, where everybody's trying to be a little bit more participatory, or participate a lot more, because it was definitely weird whenever like I would go to the creative meetings, and we wouldn't see sections of our members because we would have like video do another meeting, and then like designers do a different one, and then also exec meetings were just directors, and then we had like some work time after that, which was nice, because I really enjoyed that hour. We'd have like an hour after our exec meetings to just kind of like work or like talk, and I think that was some of the, like one of the most productive and some of the most fun, because we would just like instantly have answers for each other, and it was just like a really nice collaborative space to work in. So I'm glad to hear that like all of this is improving in terms of like building a community within the organization.
Yeah, freshman orientation is one thing that I've seen a lot of people focus on. When I was or a lot of people in the organization leadership focus on. When I was a freshman, and I don't know about you guys, I think we're all the same year, right? Sierra, year class of 2021, right?
Me 22.
Oh wow, so you're older than us. Okay.
Younger.
No, sorry, you're right. Younger. My bad. So you're a year younger than us. I remember when I was a freshman, I didn't even know LG existed. I don't think because there wasn't any. I don't know if it was simply because it wasn't as big at the time, or what. But I remember I didn't see any advertising really for it. I think the first way I found out about it was through Albert, because you and we had a class together that first semester of our freshman year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was how we became friends. And how did you find out about it? Oh God. Oh no.
Me or Kevin? Or Sierra, sorry. I wasn't sure what moment in time you were talking about.
When the first time you found out about LG and were like, I want to join this, when was that?
I think that was probably my freshman year. I was looking for things to do. Mm-hmm. I think at the time I wanted to do a little bit of everything. I was like every freshman usually does, is they overwhelm themselves and then, have a breakdown at 3 a.m., because you're just doing so much. Guys, I'm kidding.
I think it's so funny that you say that because I was the exact opposite. I'm doing all that now because I didn't do it before.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I do know what you mean. I know a lot of freshmen are like, this is college. I have to do a bunch of stuff or it's not fulfilling. And I don't think that's true. But
no, yeah. I mean, that was definitely something it was definitely a mistake I had made. But I think I had found out through some pamphlets that were being passed around for like a LAN. And I had been trying to get Kevin to go with me because I didn't want to go by myself.
Yeah.
And I think Kevin decided to go because they had like a Hearthstone tournament. And he was really into Hearthstone at the time. I think I was getting into League, so I wanted to play League, but I don't think I was to the same caliber to play comfortably in a public setting.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like how I found out about it. I actually didn't end up going to a LAN until probably my sophomore year.
Wow.
And I think I like sat there with Kevin and played Maple Story or something because it had just come out, like Maple Story 2. Actually, I don't even know if it just come out, but yeah, that was like my first time with LG, I guess.
Yeah. And Sierra, you said you were on the crew first. How did you find out about LG? Was it through like freshman outreach or?
I think I found out about it the fall of last year. I was really getting into Smash, and I had some friends who were like, "Oh, we're gonna be at the LG meeting tonight. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll go." And then I think I ended up talking to some of the people in the Smash club first, and I was like, "Hey, I'm interested in doing like work for you guys, like if you guys need what are they called, like their PR essentially, or their power rankings, like all the art for that." And I was like, "I'm perfectly down to do that for you guys." And then I think I ended up talking to Jackson about wanting to do creative for Longhorn Gaming. And then I pretty sure I got interviewed by Albert, and then I joined.
And the cycle continues.
Yeah.
So you were almost scalped by Longhorn Smash.
Yeah, I almost was gonna do. I really wanted to do like T-shirts for some reason of like Smash characters specifically.
Yeah, I mean that'd be pretty prestigious. Having people walking around with your art on it would be like, I can only imagine how that would feel. How good that would feel, like knowing that people liked your art enough to buy it,
right,
and wear it.
I think that was one of my favorite things about being creative directors, like getting to see like the work that our artists or our members had done, and then seeing how it was like shared with everybody. Like we had done like a few illustrations for some of the advertisements for the lands, and I think people's reactions to it were definitely some of the most like endearing things. Like it was just like so cool. They were like, wow, like they managed to paint them in like this winter-esque scene, and they were just like really impressed with the work that was done by our members, and it was cool because most of those works were like very collaborative. We also have very talented artists, so it was cool seeing people's reactions to some of the illustrative work, and then seeing how it made some of the artists feel, having the work showcased like that.
Yeah, I can only imagine what sort of opportunities you could. Actually, I suppose I don't have to, because I am a creative team crew member. But the opportunities you could have being a part of something like this, because Longhorn Gaming, despite my initial ignorance about the organization, it's pretty prolific. It's sort of like a nationally recognized organization, and it almost doesn't seem like it from the outside, because it seems very casual, very like newbie friendly. And when you think of like nationally recognized esports organizations, you think everyone's gonna be like a hard ass gamer,
like super sweaty,
salt, like molding all the time or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't always like that. Like, that was actually an issue that we've had, was that, like, people always had the assumption that, like, if you join a gaming organization, you have to be, like, plat in League or something, or be super good at what you're doing. But I think when I came on, that was, like, the focus, right? We were relaunching as an organization. We had, like, a really large... I would say almost cataclysmic shift in leadership.
Wow.
Like literally, I think the only one that was still on was just Austin.
Yeah.
At the time, and that was like one of our main focuses, was like making sure that we reorient our brand to be more inclusive of like people from all walks of life, not just the people that played competitively.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a good job, Sierra and I, repositioning that, because I don't know, I think I've definitely seen a lot more turnout to some of the events. I definitely see people just playing like casual games or mobile games, and it's great, because before it was just like, oh, I don't really see my game on the board, like I don't know if I would be included here. So I think that's one thing that I'm proud of during my time there, and I think that's something Sierra could be proud of as well.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Oh, hello. I can definitely attest to the effort that you guys put in, because I remember I've never considered myself to be like a professional level gamer. I haven't found a game that clicks like that for me. I suppose I played Apex for a little bit like that, but at the time when I was playing Apex, it wasn't really part of Longhorn's LG's roster. But it is now, which is super cool. So like, if I wanted to get back into it, we don't have a competitive team, but there would be people around who would, who I could play with in LG. And I think you guys did a really good job, because the reason I was so skeptical as like a new community member to come to any of the events was because I was like, I'm not gonna know anyone, and they're all gonna be like focused on their games. It's gonna be like, it's gonna be like a library level silence with people playing like League and CS:GO. But that's not how it was. It was really lively and fun, and everyone was super friendly. And I was just surprised. It was very surprising. I didn't get a chance to meet a lot of the leadership, but everyone in the community was super friendly and engaging. I played against in the Winter Wonderland. I was in the Smash tournament, and at that point I hadn't played Smash in a couple months probably, and I was absolutely roasted by one of the Longhorn Smash team members. And I remember like, normally I'm not a super great loser, I can admit that, but I had fun. It was it was a lot of fun. Anyway,
so are there any particular like moments that you've really enjoyed from LG? Like,
that is no, that's exactly what you took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to ask that. Like, were there any particular moments or any specific projects that you really enjoyed working on that you remember?
One really good experience that I got from LG was I had just started playing Overwatch and I kind of wanted to get serious about it. So I signed up for one of their competitive teams and I got put on like essentially like the junior varsity team kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But like uh and I got to like practice every week with some really cool people, and like we got to hang out like in real life on campus. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that was like the first time where I was like, wow, it's actually like you can actually make friends here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
you didn't find it super difficult to join the team at all?
no, not at all. And
Yeah.
like I think that was probably like the best experience that I could get,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I think that's one of the big reasons that like now I really, when I talk with other leadership, I really like think about that experience, and I want like everyone to have that experience.
Yeah, it seems like that's when I attend or when I sit in on directors meetings, the few and far between times that I do, it seems like that's the general consensus is we want to be as welcoming a community as possible. And
Yeah.
I think that your experience that you've just described is sort of like the platonic ideal of what we want newcomers to feel. Um, yeah, so that is super great that you got to experience that when you were first joining. What about you, Albert? You have anything like that?
I think one of my favorite moments, or I guess community moments, I don't know how to describe it, but one of the things that I remember the most was when I think we had like a Tuesday game night, and we were doing a Smash tournament.
Oh no.
And
Lost on
yeah,
that.
yeah, it was interesting because I'd been playing with Kevin for a while, and like Kevin goes big brain mode whenever he like plays Smash. Like he's just
Oh
like
yeah.
really a really great player
Yeah, trust me,
overall.
I know.
And so I think getting to play with him, it was just constantly like sharpening my sword, I guess. Like I was just like constantly learning new things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you know what, I really want to like try playing in like a competitive setting, because I feel like initially I feel like inherently I've never been a super competitive player, which is something I've been trying to be more of, right? There's like always like a healthy level of competition.
Yeah.
And so I think I had summoned up the courage to like enter myself into the tournament. It was like duos or something, and like I didn't have a team member because Kevin was hosting the event. So I had literally just been talking to this guy that I had just met that same night, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I want to do it, or like I just kind of want to watch." And I was like, "No, dude, let's join up and let's just do it." And I'd literally just been talking to him for like 15 minutes, and we had like hit it off like really well.
Yeah.
And so from that point, we played a little bit, and I think we played against I don't remember who we played against, but it was some members of like the Smash team. And I think we did really well. We ended up going to finals. Like
Oh, wow.
we had like miraculously won somehow on this like soccer themed Smash map. And to me it was personally by accident. And I was like, yeah, I meant to do that. Yeah, no, it was good. It was great. But no, I mean it was cool because we went to finals and we were just like super excited, and we both weren't particularly good. But then we got demolished in finals. But you know, it was a fun experience because like I had just met this person, and we were able to like you know, really click based on like our own interests, and then just like click around the idea of like our game, right? Like we were all passionate gamers, so we were able to just hit it off really well, which I think is what we can attribute to like the success of LG is just like we have something that you know it expands across like different types of people. Like you can be playing a completely different game, but just the fact that you're playing games with somebody is like a really unique social opportunity. And I think that's one of the things that I really appreciated about LG is like giving people the opportunity to hang out and talk about and do the things that they love, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Speaking of opportunities, I know that LG, like I said before, is a pretty prolific organization. Has worked with a lot of big names in the industry. I
Mm-hmm.
know that like from personal experience, firsthand, seeing the like interacting with these people, even just being on the crew for a couple of months before having to not be on campus anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Sierra, you've been creative director for how long?
I just started this semester.
Yeah, right at the beginning, right? Okay. Were there any how do I phrase this question? What is the project that you have worked on so far that you thought was the coolest? Being creative director where you had to assign the project or work on the project, or being a crew member where a project was assigned to you?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, take your time.
I feel like we haven't had, since we weren't able to have in-person events.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I like the most is I was making the what are they called? I'm sorry.
No worries.
I was making the graphics for LG Game Day, which is what we started this semester in place of an event.
Do you mean like the recurring events, the Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those were really fun to make. I liked that, and I feel like I got to like really challenge myself when it came to layouts, which is something I had a lot of trouble with in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not only did you get to work on something you enjoyed, it wasn't one big project that you got to do. It was lots of smaller projects that you feel helped like hone your skills.
Yeah, like I got to work with trying to make things consistent, but also, different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was pretty nice. Yeah, like I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that I've only done a single project as a creative team member, but I had a lot of fun with it too. It's like, if this is your jam, like if making art is your jam, I found a dungeon.
Nice.
Then this is like I found that this was the perfect outlet to do like non-academic projects, if that makes sense. Like, I enjoy doing my schoolwork well enough, but at a certain point it reaches like not a burnt out level, but I want to do stuff for me. And with LG, it feels like I'm doing stuff for me while it's also being seen by, dozens of other people. It's a very cool experience. It's a very unique experience, I will say, because you go into college thinking that you're not really going to be seen by other people until you graduate and get a job. But LG has definitely provided me the opportunity to have that as like an earlier on experience. Anyway, enough about me. Albert, I will ask you the same question. I know you've been creative director for a little bit longer. Were there any super cool projects that you got to work on that like stick out for you?
I didn't do much work on projects. I think I would just mainly like do supporting stuff. But I think one of the more interesting ones, or the ones that I felt was like really important, was actually one that Sierra did, which was for the I can't remember what it's called. Sierra, do you remember what it's called? The charity event that we did.
Oh, the Texas-thon?
Yeah, we were doing Texas-thon. Like we were doing a charity stream, and I think we needed like a last minute. We were waiting on like finalizing details for like what the event would be, what are some of the things we were gonna do, and it just taken too long to get that information. And so like we kind of had to do this last minute. And Sierra managed to pull like this really great design out, and it was just like it was really cool because it was for a good cause, and then two, like I felt like it was a really good art, or or it's a really good design overall. Sorry. And like, though I didn't work on it specifically, I think that was the thing that I enjoyed most about being the director, was being able to empower the artists to do their work, you know, and like providing critique or providing, you know, any form of support that I could, mainly because I was busy, you know, communicating or organizing things. But yeah, that was probably one of the more cooler projects. But
yeah, so
yeah.
So rather than feeling like this is a cool project that I worked on, it was like a sense of pride for being able to like lead in such a way that a cool project was finished in a satisfying way.
Yeah, and I mean, most of the work goes to the artist, so like Sierra in this instance, but like I think being able to you know, organize things for people and empower them is definitely something that I value a lot, which is why I tend to gravitate towards more like leadership positions whenever I'm like within an organization. And so just being able to do that on a daily basis was a great experience for me, I feel.
Yeah. Oh, I found diamonds. Oh my god, that completely distracted me from the next question I was gonna ask. Oh no.
No, the diamonds are definitely
oh boy,
distracting.
All right, give me like 1 second to remember what I was gonna say.
I had earlier when I was getting the diamonds, I had like blinders on, and there was just like zombies and skeletons everywhere, and I just went down like multiple times to just die immediately.
Oh, no. I think I was gonna ask you guys about how LG has helped you like career-wise. I know that Sierra, you're not as close to graduating as the two of us are, but have you had any experiences with like brands or other companies that have like approached you because of your art, because of what you've done for LG, or like even just playing? I know you said you are or were on the Overwatch JV team. Have you been approached by anyone, or have you like reached out to anyone and been able to like do cooler stuff outside of LG because of what you did for LG?
I personally have not had anyone reach out to me, but I'm definitely using my stuff, like all the projects that I've made, to build my resume, because I would definitely want a job in like the esports industry.
Yeah.
But I did have a friend who was on the Overwatch team with me, Araya.
Yeah, she's the current director of digital production.
Yes, and she's great. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's super nice.
She ended up, I think it was CSL that reached out to her.
Oh wow.
And I think she got reached out to by the Overwatch League. She ended up going to Houston to help run the Overwatch League Houston Outlaws tournament.
Oh my god. Wow.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That is like an incredible opportunity. That's something, and I want to touch back on what you said about wanting to be in esports. Was that something you ever even considered before joining LG, like being a part of like the esports industry?
Not really. I didn't even really know that esports and like all of the jobs within esports were even really achievable up until like a year or two ago. You know, like I've played video games all my life, but I never thought realistically that like you could have a job that was about video games.
Yeah, I think that might be because it probably wasn't. Like when we were younger, when we were even probably in high school, I get the feeling that it was not an as achievable goal as it is now. I think that the esports as a whole has grown tremendously in just the last few years alone. Ooh, more diamonds.
Nice.
Sorry. Oh, it's just one.
Oh my.
Oh no.
I just got demolished.
Yeah. Anyway, I will forgo what I was gonna say mostly because I forgot, and I will ask you the same question, Albert. Did you ever feel like you wanted to be a part of the esports industry, and was that an achievable goal for you?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't something that was on my radar initially.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was just testing the waters at different places. And LG just happened to resonate with me because like I loved video games, but I wasn't aware of the esports industry. Like I mean I was, but I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
aware to like its extent and like its reach.
Yeah.
You're right, like it's grown exponentially, like almost it feels like overnight. Like it feels like one day we were just like talking about video games in the
Mm-hmm.
cafeteria in high school or something. And then now like people are watching Twitch streams of tournaments and like it's something you can bring up like in social situations, like, oh yeah, like I was watching the LCS or something, and I think that's really cool. But I wasn't particularly, I didn't go in with the intention to join the esports industry for sure. Like I was definitely just looking for one leadership experience and also just like feeling out for like different types of career opportunities.
Yeah.
I had an interest in design and like creating experiences for people. And so I had like a really good experience with OG because like it really opened my eyes to the types of opportunities that were available to like students and people that wanted to break into that industry.
Mm-hmm.
For me, even though I was still on the fence and trying to figure out like what I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that like we gave our members like the best opportunities that there were when it came to like creating things or sharing their works and making sure that they got recognition for things was definitely something that was very important to me because I know in this industry it's mostly about like who you know and making those connections and like networking and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, I guess that was like the way that I had approached LG, was just making sure that like I could be as useful as possible, one to my own members and then to like the organization as possible. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely helped me a lot, like in terms of like leadership experience, because I'm the studio lead for Design for America on campus, which is a design for social change or social impact organization. So what we do is we do service and product design.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically like work on projects with like community partners to solve a problem or to I guess make things more inclusive or more socially just, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think I would have been able to do as well in the organization that I'm currently in if I had not had the experience of being in LG and leading people and just learning about like empathy, being compassionate for like your members and just how to lead well, for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because that was what I wanted to ask you about. I knew you were part of DFA, but God, it's like I don't want to go back and like skip everything we just talked about, but to touch back, ironically, on the growth of esports. Like my dad asks me I told him we were gonna do this podcast, and he asked me if we were gonna talk about like Liquid and Optic, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And he was like, oh, they're professional, they're esports teams, and I looked at him like he had grown a second head. Like I had, like I had no idea about that. How do you know about that? And so I think the moment I knew that esports was already a bigger thing than I knew about, but was going to be bigger than I could ever imagine, was when they aired Worlds on ESPN.
Oh yeah.
That was when I knew that esports was an actual, like, it was viable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a similar experience, but with Rocket League. I was
really?
at Pluckers on Rio Grande, and I had been thinking about esports. I think this was like midway through my creative director career, and I was like, man, like esports is getting really big. And like literally that same day, we went to Pluckers with a few of my friends, and we saw a Rocket League tournament on ESPN like 3 or 2 or something on at Pluckers, and I was just like, what? Like this is so weird. Like I didn't expect to be eating wings and watching a Rocket League tournament.
Yeah.
It's weird. This is cool.
Yeah,
you know?
it's insane. It's really a burgeoning industry that like, and to go back even further to what we were talking about before, I didn't come into college thinking that I was going to want to be a part of the esports industry. You know, like it's so accessible now. Like if you stream on Twitch for a year and you're good at a competitive game, you're going to get noticed.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't need like a $4,000 computer and like a top of the line mic and webcam. You can do it with your laptop and not even speak. You know, you let your gameplay speak for itself. And you know, or you can go out and like play in local leagues and you can talk to people. Like you're not kidding when you say it's about who you know. And it's like such an, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'll get a little flack for this. It's an easy industry to get into, but it probably is not an easy industry to rise up in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not going to become a member of Cloud9 in a week after some agent or whatever notices you got an ace, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely about, I think from some of the stories I'd heard from some of our players, it's definitely about like luck and, you know, performing well in like tournaments or just like being a part of those communities for sure. Like I'm trying to remember a specific story, but I think the way it went for one of the team members was just like, you know, I just so happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's a lot of luck. But it's surprising how many people you hear get lucky. So I think it must just be like an industry-wide +1 to luck.
Plus,
you know. Okay. You'll have to excuse me. I had another question, but I found more diamonds. So I forgot them. I just around. I guess I'm in a part of the cave that you guys haven't explored yet.
I think I found 6 so far.
I found 5. I made a sword and a pickaxe, and I found diamond horse armor in a dungeon chest. So I'm gonna go get a horse once we go back up. Shoot. You know what? Let me pull up the question list and see if there's any I haven't asked yet.
I think also Sierra, you do like streaming, right? Like, is
That's
there
what
anything
I was gonna ask about. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, I guess I'm just reading your mind today.
Yeah, that's like the second time that's happened. Yeah. So, not to steal your thunder, Albert. My apologies, but you mentioned earlier, Sierra, that you streamed, and I also saw that Ashley, the president of LG, streams. I had no idea. So what has your experience been like streaming? What kind of stuff do you stream? You know, do you stream for competitive gameplay or for casual gameplay, that sort of thing?
At first, I was streaming pretty much just Overwatch, and I started getting into like other games. So for a while, I was playing Apex too. I think until like the second season, and then I was like, "Oh, this map changed. Bye." I was not prepared for the world of BRs.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So I streamed a lot of Overwatch, and then when Valorant came out, I started streaming Valorant, and that was pretty fun. I thought Valorant was really good. I also, not on my stream, but I also ran a Tekken tournament stream every Wednesday.
Wow.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Did you play? Was it like you versus people online, or you versus people you knew?
So my boyfriend would run the local tournaments here in Austin,
Mm-hmm.
and so I would run the stream for him. So I would like,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was really good experience.
Yeah. So you mentioned you want to be part of the esports industry now. That's obviously changed from what you wanted to do when you came to UT. At least to some degree.
Yeah.
Or evolved rather than changed, I would say. What do you know exactly what it is you want to be a part of? Like, ideally, what would you do?
Personally, I think that streaming is really, really fun.
Yeah.
I think eventually I'd like to make like streaming, if I got really serious about it, like something as like an actual side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like actual career, like using my degree,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd like to just go into like, I'd like to work for like just a normal, regular big company
Mm-hmm.
and do advertising for them. But I feel like esports in general would be a good way to get into just like the tech industry in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the tech industry is growing so fast that once you get into like that industry, you can kind of find a place anywhere.
Yeah. It's like getting in on the ground floor, but the ground floor has an elevator to wherever you want to go.
Yeah, pretty much. And like each floor is something completely different.
Yeah.
But like it's all kind of in the same building.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I
think I can say something similar to that. Like, I think being able to, present yourself in a way that's like almost like advertising, right? Like being able to talk about yourself and being able to, sell what you're putting down is definitely like a valuable skill that I think I hope a lot of our members are learning as crew members, right? Like being able to like, hey, like I worked on this thing, like let me be a part of whatever it is that you're doing,
Mhm.
and I think that's kind of been my experience is that like, okay, like I've learned through LG how to, come across as professional and come across as like, someone that can do things and is capable of doing things. And it's definitely reinforced through like some of the, I guess, consequences, or not consequences, but like the reverberations that you make within the things that you do,
Yeah, all your waves. I get
Mhm.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I know that I can attest to that because I wasn't really an active member. Like I said earlier, Sierra had given me like one project to work on. I believe I did the what was it? The LinkedIn banner for Longhorn Gaming.
Okay.
And that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. And that was how I got like talking about that with Ashley was how I got the chance to pitch her this idea to work on this podcast. And so it's like it wasn't my goal, but the fact I'm not going to complain about the fact that it happened. So it was just very cool that I just so happened, like I had come up with this idea a couple years ago, but it never went anywhere because I didn't do anything. And then when I finally started doing something, it just so happened to be prevalent. It's like a very strange way that it came about, but I'm all the more glad because of it that I joined LG.
Well, that's good to hear, man. I'm glad. I feel like I think that's one of the reasons I love the organization so much is that, there's a lot of room for, like people to just give their input, if there's something that the organization isn't doing well, like our crew members will voice that, and, it's heard. Like people will take that into consideration and run with it. And I think that's something that's unique to LG is that like, there's so much willingness to try new things and to like, make it a great experience for everybody.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that recently with the leadership. There's been a big drive, a big push to like understand what they could be doing better. That was something that I was specifically asked about in that meeting with Ashley, where I got to pitch this idea. And she asked me what the organization could be doing better. And if she had asked me that, you know, a year ago, I probably would have had like a handful of things to say. But at the time when she asked me, I couldn't think of anything, you know, because they've been doing a pretty stellar job of fixing what was broken. And I think with our current leadership, we've reached like, hold on. We've reached like I don't want to say a peak because that implies a downswing, but like we're going up on the bell curve.
Okay.
You know? And that's something I really appreciate about. Oh no.
Oh no, I just got diamonds.
Oh no. Did you ever get your diamonds back, Albert?
Yeah. I mean, I have a spare, Sierra, if you want it. I don't.
I have one spare diamond. You want a shovel?
I don't.
I had like so much stuff.
Oh no, I have a bunch of. I'm back on the surface, and I have plenty of materials if you would like some stuff to make tools or armor or whatever. But I'm gonna start building my house. I think it's time.
I started building in our little mining hole.
Oh really? What are your coordinates? I would love to grab those so I could come build near you.
Well, it's on the spawn, or right under the spawn.
Yeah, I didn't. I was sort of far, so I just dug up, and now I am. I mean, I think I'm close. Love that. Oh god, so satisfying.
Coordinates 116 by 64 by 250.
116. Oh no, I'm pretty far. By 64 by 250. All right, this way.
Yeah.
Epic.
Epic.
All right. I am gonna be honest. I did not prepare enough questions. So if you want, we were having a conversation earlier about like our experience, like with all of the foolishness going on. Do you want to continue talking about that?
That was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe Albert was mentioning NPC energy, and if you're all right with continuing to talk about that, I would love to continue to dive into there.
Yeah. So a little context, I guess. I think one thing that I've particularly struggled with, and I've been trying to fix that, is like having NPC energy. And so for those of you that don't know what that means, it's basically like in video games, you have non-player characters, right? NPCs. And they only interact with you when you go and talk to them. That was something that I saw on Twitter, and it like blew my mind. Like I was like, oh my God, I have NPC energy, because like I have trouble reaching out to people and like starting conversations and just like hanging out, you know? And when we were talking about this, we were talking about like FOMO and like all the things that we are kind of missing out on now because of like coronavirus. And so I think that takes a little bit of like self-awareness, right? Like trying to figure out like why things aren't the way that you want them to be with like your relationships or with the people that you want to be around.
I think being able to identify that at all requires like a pretty healthy perspective of yourself.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that you have that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's great to an extent. I feel like sometimes people have self-awareness, and it can be almost like crippling. Sometimes that's the case for me when I'm like trying to figure out like, okay, like what's the best way to proceed with my like interpersonal relationships, or like just in general. Like, okay, am I coming off as too what is it, brazen? Am I like, like having a perception of yourself is definitely a conflicting idea. But for context, like we were We were talking. What were we talking about when we brought this up?
I don't know. You and I we had just started talking before Sierra had joined, and that this is where we got to.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. Okay, so basically, we were talking about, not feeling a part of an organization or like not doing college, and I think that's what led to the LG conversation. Was that for me, college was a little bit difficult or like socially isolating, like sophomore year, and I think being able to join an organization, especially one here at UT, is definitely going to give you like tons of great experiences and tons of great relationships with people. And like that's one thing that I'm really grateful for LG, like being given the opportunity to like meet new people and to not feel like you're alone in this 50,000 plus student campus, right?
It can be really difficult when they throw a lot at you at once, like all the tablers. You don't expect it. I mean, you don't think it's going to be a small deal, but I think it's not far-fetched of me to say that you two probably didn't know what you wanted and weren't able to grab it as soon as you joined. Is that true, or am I putting words in your mouth?
Wait, sorry, can you rephrase the question? Or question, sorry.
There was a lot thrown at you at once, and it was difficult for you to decide what to do, so you froze. You had like analysis paralysis or something.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, okay, what do I dedicate my time to? Because like I feel like a lot of people on campus are figuring out what they want to do. Some people are lucky enough to know exactly what they want to do, and they just pursue it like at 1,000 miles per hour, and that's great. I love that. I love seeing that on campus. For me, it was just like, oh crap, like I really don't know what I want to do with my life. Like I know that I want to create things. I know that I want to empower people, but what organization or how can I dedicate my time towards like reaching that goal, and I'm glad that my roommate just so happened to tell me that there was a position open, because I think for sure LG has definitely changed my life in ways that like I didn't expect it to.
Yeah. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me for 1 second.
Oh, you're good.
I'll be right back.
And Sierra, like, have you been like, I think what prompted some of this was we were talking about like our high school friends. Like, do you have a like particular set of friends that you hang out with? Are they from your high school? Are there people that you've met here?
Most of the people that I talk to now are people that I've made friends with through video games, whether it's like most of my friends are actually from the arcade that I go to.
Okay.
Those are the people I hang out with.
I'm back, by the way. An actual arcade?
Yeah, it's actually near campus.
That's awesome. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of Japanese arcade games.
What is it like? Is it like a 1-up or something, or what's it called?
It's a super super tiny little arcade on Speedway, like north of campus, called Arcade UFO, and they have Japanese.
I've heard of that place.
Yeah, I went my freshman year, and that's where I met my boyfriend and all my friends.
Wow.
That's so cool.
That is really cool.
They have like Japanese style arcade cabinets there, like for fighting games. And then they have like Japanese rhythm games. And that's where I started like really wanting to get good at games. It was when I started playing rhythm games and I saw the people there and I was like, wow, you actually can be that good.
Yeah.
Like, you actually can pass those with perfect, like every single note hit.
Yeah. That's very
cool.
Go. No, I was just going to say that's super cool.
Yeah. And some of the people that are like insane, like they have Pump It Up or Pump, and they have DDR. And the people who played those games have the most stamina I've ever seen. They will sit there for like hours and just play DDR on like the hardest setting.
I imagine that's a good workout.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all skinny. They're all They all have like the most muscular little legs I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you see videos online of people doing it, but I can only imagine what it's like in real life.
Yeah, and like everyone there's really cool. So those are most of my friends that I talk to. It's been kind of hard to keep in contact with them over quarantine because there wasn't really anywhere for us to hang out at because the place had closed down.
Oh,
like
For quarantine.
okay, I was gonna say.
Not forever.
I was like,
I know that
man.
there's been a couple places on Guad that have closed, like I think permanently because of COVID.
Oh yeah, like Fricanos, right?
Yeah.
I'd never been, but I'd always wanted to go, and I had friends that would go, and they were like, "These are the best sandwiches ever."
It's like a staple, and it sucks that it took this to bring it down. I went there once with my old roommate, who, you know, ironically was a friend from high school. And I will attest, it was a damn good sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Albert, you were talking about how you were lucky that you had someone you knew to help like introduce you to this stuff. And I think I had a similar experience but in a different way, if that makes sense. Like, I had a friend from high school who I roomed with my second year, and the stuff he introduced me to wasn't. It wasn't like how do I phrase this? We're not into the same stuff. Like I believe he's a European Studies major now, and he wants to be a lawyer. So we are not into the same stuff. Like, we both enjoy video games to some degree, but the stuff he introduced me to was more on like the nerd popular kid dichotomy, as opposed
nerd popular kid.
Yeah, like when we were in high school, he was the captain of the debate team, and he was really well read and well spoken, and people liked him for it. And I wasn't the opposite. You know, I had friends. But we were just very different people, and so it was cool to have an experience where someone was able to introduce me to stuff, because he joined a frat. He joined Phi Delta Theta, and so I got to meet his friends, and some of his frat brothers became my friends. And it was just a very cool experience to have something like that happen, because I didn't expect it to happen. I kind of half expected to be friends with my freshman dorm roommate. That didn't really happen. But yeah, it's strange now because I'm back home in San Antonio and he's still in Austin, so we can't really hang out as much anymore. So I do get that FOMO, because I know he's still, safely, of course, but he still hangs out with people, and I can't really do that because I would say probably 80% of my friends are up in Dallas or Richardson going to UTD. And you and Kevin and my bud Noah, who I was just talking about, are all in Austin. So I had a point. I don't know what it was. I think I'm just trying to say that I relate to the both of you. Like, Sierra, you can't hang out with your friends because the place that you hang out at is, it's closed for good reason. Because like you said, I imagine that because it's a small arcade, it is probably a good idea to have it closed.
That's something that everybody's kind of figuring out, it's like, how do we restore like that human connection and like retain some sense of normalcy, especially with like our organizations or like the things that we love to do on campus,
Yeah. Go ahead.
For LG, for instance, like I know I'm not like around, but like I definitely still want to go to like events, but I don't know if there will be events, and I know most of them are transitioning online, and it's definitely something that you got to get like adapted to, like just socializing in an online settings, and I feel like it's nice, right? Because with games you can just play games and get on Discord, right? And it's like not a new thing. But like my organization, like for Design for America, it's going to be like an interesting challenge to see how can we, have the same amount of like community building as like an organization, and then also like do our work effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be struggling with on campus, is like whether, like how do you retain the normalcy of like your organization, or how do you retain the normalcy of like the communities that you were a part of,
Yeah. I feel like I feel almost bad for the freshmen that are coming in, because they're not going to get the same. Well, I mean, UT's opening in the fall to a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's like 40% capacity for most classrooms, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 30% of all classes are going to be online anyway, because they're like all the biggest ones. So they're just not going to have the same experience. I know that I am definitely a different person than I was when I came in, because of the huge classes that I attended when I was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
The big like 300 person astronomy class that I had. God. Anyway, what are you doing, Sierra? What are you up to?
I am currently building a house in a tree.
Really? I would love to come see that. Oh God.
There's like zombies at the bottom. I can't even get out. Oh, never mind.
Oh, I see it. You're very close by. I'll come help.
That wasn't the side with the ladder on it.
Oh no. Oh my God, you are being chased. Well, they'll probably die from the fire, so I'll just kill this creeper over here for you.
Sarah, is there something that you're excited for, like for this next semester, or something that you're really looking forward to?
Honestly, I'm looking forward just to making things for in-person events.
Yeah.
I really just want to like make things that are like eye-catching and like make you want to go to that event. And like I feel like because we haven't had like really any in-person events, it's been kind of hard to get that like excitement, because it's hard to even gauge like how many people are going.
Mm-hmm.
But like it happens. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm excited for is just like in-person events again, and like making stuff for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by like? Do you mean like advertising materials, or like things for the events?
Advertising materials, and like if we decide to do anything special for those events, then like maybe if we decide to do t-shirts. I know that the pop-up shop thing didn't get to happen, so I kind of want to bring that up again for the fall.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome to see for sure.
Do you think either of you, do you think we'll get to do Kevin's event that he was planning for Lord knows how long that never got to happen because of quarantine? The huge like mini convention.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I feel like with leadership this year, I feel like we could really pull that off.
I agree. I think we were poised to do it this semester, and I think the fact that it didn't happen was completely out of our control. But I think that that is like the event to not end all events, but begin all events.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we do that,
really
it would be huge. It'd be huge.
Yeah, I think for context, so I'm not sure how much information I can share because I know it's things that are in the works, right?
Yeah.
So our previous events director had planned on doing a sort of like collaboration with other gaming and like culture organizations, and just kind of having like an expo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that LG's been doing for a while, or trying to do. So I'm excited to see if that comes through.
Yeah, I was so sad when I heard about all the cool stuff that was gonna happen that wasn't gonna get to happen anymore. I still have hold on, let me see if I can find it. A stack of there it is. A stack of LG stickers, factory new.
Nice.
Still wrapped up in their plastic. The plan was, I asked for it. I think it would have been funnier if I had just taken it, but I did ask. The plan was to just start sticking them around campus on like poles and mailboxes and stuff. Obviously, that never got to happen. But because we're opening in the fall, I think my plan is going to come through.
I had a friend who was telling me about guerrilla marketing, and I literally thought that there was gorillas. I don't. Really, that form of guerrilla marketing is going to where people are and just blasting their face with brands or like like stickers and stuff. So like I know on campus and around West Campus specifically, we see a lot of stuff for like Bumble.
Yeah. Oh my god. Have you ever met a Bumble rep?
No, I haven't.
They're nice girls, of course. They wouldn't be hired if they weren't. But it like when they're in rep mode, they are in it. Like if you go to a Bumble event, it's like it's about Bumble. It's not about anything else. But it's good marketing. I didn't know about Bumble until I moved to Austin, and now I see their stickers on every light post. So it's like, if it works.
For a long time, I thought it was a new car service. I think I had the perception that it was like a new Uber, a new Lyft, because I'd seen it so much. And I think something that I had seen a lot of was like those Uber advertisements or stickers on campus. Or just like in Austin in general. And then I like downloaded it, and then I saw that it was like Tinder, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not like Tinder, but Tinder kind of thing.
But like a similar idea, I guess.
Yeah.
Like an app where you meet people is how I'll phrase it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have Bumble anymore, but I'm sure it's been useful to people that are looking for either relationships or friendships or something.
Yeah. Oh god, how do I make a fence? There we go. Hello. What should I name my horse, guys?
Raphael.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's good.
Okay.
Sierra, I love the treehouse.
I also love the treehouse.
I'm gonna go get like a bunch of sand, and the whole top is just gonna be glass.
Do you need some help? Can I help you?
That is epic.
I want to help.
I will work on this little area down here. Is this big enough for an... Oh, this is the perfect size for an enchanting table. Oh, I don't have any more diamonds, though.
It'd be interesting if this podcast branched off to like just using the same world, and then everybody who's interviewed here just kind of like builds a house.
Yeah.
And you have to pitch at some point.
That was an idea that I had. I wanted to present it to Ashley. That was why I wanted to purchase a realm, because realms stay up even when no one is on. And this server, when everyone leaves, I don't think it'll be deleted, but it'll go offline, so people can't access it unless I like start it up again. But I had the exact same idea. So if I can purchase a realm, I'll have to have the two of you on again to rebuild your houses.
That'll be fun. Yeah. I mean, I think you can transfer the world data. But
you're right. That's true. I will do that. Because this is I don't know about you guys. This has been a pretty lucrative world.
Yeah, they have a bunch of diamonds.
Yeah. And I need to find some more to build that enchanting table. Oh boy. Oh!
How has gaming been any different for you all because of COVID? Like, I know for me, I've had a lot more time to just game with my friends and like socialize. And I'm wondering if that's kind of like the same experience y'all have been having.
You want to go first here?
For me, I feel like I'm a person who wants to get up and move around after a few hours of gaming. So like for a while, it was really weird for me to be able to like sit down and just like play a game for like an entire day, and then I would wake up and do the same thing the next day. So for like a month, it was really jarring, and like I forgot. Like I lost track of the days, and like I went kind of like full like degen mode, and I would like stay up late, and I was waking up at like 2:00 in the afternoon, and like I think I've finally gotten back to normal where like I'll go to bed pretty early and stuff. but I think I definitely have more time to play video games during COVID than I did before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, God, you'd think this would be the perfect time for someone like me to finally break into like online competitive gaming, but I lost when I left Austin. I lost my wonderful internet connection that I had. And the connection here is not bad, but for a long time I didn't know how to make it better, because it would drop every like 20 minutes and I couldn't play an online game without getting booted, you know.
Get an SSD or
so I was talking with my dad about like getting new internet, but they weren't really having the same problem because they don't my dad and my stepmom, my dad doesn't use a computer really, so it was the same problem, but it wasn't the same caliber. I finally solved it by putting the router in my room and plugging it into an Ethernet into my computer, which I feel kind of bad about because I think it makes their connection a little worse. But it's the only way it's the only way we could do anything like this. If I tried to do this before, like with the router out in the living room, I would have been dropping every few minutes. Anyway, enough about that. I want to focus on something Sierra said, which was that she was going full degen. And the way you described it, before you said that, you described it, and I was like, man, I just sort of lived like that when I was in my apartment in Austin, like while school was happening. That was how I lived, and then you said that, and I was like, huh.
Am I degen?
Am I full degen?
I will add in the fact that I did that. The only way that you could like get me up from the computer was to go watch anime.
Yeah. Once I got my own living room and TV, I would just switch between my desk and my couch.
Yeah, so that's what I would describe as degen.
Yeah.
And I was just going back and forth between anime and video games.
Mm-hmm. But now, like, it seemed like you were implying that when you said you went back to normal, it was like purposeful. Like, yeah, you were making an active effort.
Yeah, because I started summer classes this month.
Mm-hmm.
So I have something else to do, and I've also been I made this decision the other day that every day I want to work on a skill that I'm interested in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like the other day it was fighting games, because like I said earlier, like I've been trying to get into fighting games for like the last year, and I'll pick up a game and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'll learn this game. And then I get halfway through the tutorial and I just get really frustrated.
Yeah.
I think fighting games are a little bit difficult to get into, but there's definitely people out there who like want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other day it was fighting games that I wanted to do, and then yesterday it was baking bread.
Oh,
that is so cool. I've been seeing people do that.
I think you saw on my Instagram, Albert, but I mean, before even all this, I like hadn't done grocery shopping, and I had just so happened to have bought the ingredients to make bread. And I made it, and I posted it on Instagram, and I was very proud of it. Do you remember that?
It was like a luscious loaf.
Yeah, it was a really good loaf of bread. It was the first time I'd ever tried it, and it's like a really cool thing to do. It took like 9 hours.
Yeah, it take a while.
But I think it's worth it in the end. And I think that
did you do the Dalgona coffee thing?
Oh, the like whipped coffee.
Yeah,
I did try making the frog bread.
Oh, yeah.
Did not look like a frog at all.
Oh no. Oh man. I haven't tried anything like that. You know what I have been doing? I got the farthest I've ever gotten on a playthrough of Skyrim for PC.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, normally I like play and I'll stop at level like 15 or 20. I'm not super proud of this, so I appreciate you saying it's awesome.
No, I mean, like, okay. Well, have you played through the whole thing before?
Yeah, when it first came out in 2012, I think I finally got it like a year or so after. I got it for Xbox 360, and I got a character, my high elf stealth archer, because that's the only way to play Skyrim.
Yes, it is.
You can be mad about it, but it's true.
Stealth archer is the way to go.
I got him into the 60s, level 6, like level 63 or something. And so I had played through the whole story, and I had played a bunch of the side quests and stuff, but I had never. I didn't have the DLC because I didn't have the money to purchase it for myself, and you can mod on PC. So I've added like an extra probably 20-ish hours of content through mods, plus all of the DLC, plus the main story, which I still haven't completed, plus all the side quests. I added probably 80 hours of Skyrim in a week to my playtime on Steam. And I stopped playing, and then I started playing Terraria, and the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, Terraria is great.
Yeah, I've been playing that the last few days. But I think, Sierra, I think you've inspired me. I think I want to do what you're doing, and I want to, just work on me. You know, because when else am I gonna have months and months and months to sit on my ass and do that?
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much what I told myself. I was like, you literally have all the time in the world to focus on yourself right now.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna start with League, because
don't do that. No, sir. I'm
Great
gonna
idea.
stop you right there. And tell you, do not do that. That is probably the worst thing you can do for yourself.
Oh,
No,
I know how you feel about League. But it's just like, to me, League seems like the quintessential esport. I don't know. Maybe it's different for other people. Maybe people think CS:GO is like that. But that's how I feel about it, and I've always been interested in it, but I've never had the drive to play it. I think I made a new account recently, and I got to rank 4 to play with Kevin, and then we never played. Because we found out that I had to be rank 4, and I took so long doing it that the interest just dropped between the both of us. I think that would be a good one to do. Honestly, working on any of my competitive gaming skills would be good. I could go back to learning a language. I was trying to learn like 4 different languages at one point.
Whoa.
And then I started taking college level French, and I stopped wanting to learn languages. Yeah, but I mean, like, using like Duolingo has Arabic character languages now. Sorry, not Arabic, like Roman or whatever our alphabet stems from. Like, you can learn Japanese on Duolingo now, and you couldn't do that for a long time because I think they just didn't know how to like make it work. Because it makes sense that you would be able to learn languages like
German or Spanish.
Yeah, like European languages, because they use the same alphabet as ours. And like, how do you properly teach symbols? You know?
Yeah.
But I think they finally got it. My friend, I have a friend in Dallas who's learning Japanese, and I was just up there visiting them last week. And I have this hoodie. I'm actually wearing it right now. It has Japanese on the front, like on the chest, and I had no idea what it said. And people had been saying, like, that could say anything, right? And I was like, yeah, it'd be really funny if it said something like toilet. And they were like, I don't know why you think that'd be funny, but all right. And he finally, I was wearing it, and he saw it, and he was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, thanks. I got it from X website. And he was like, no, it literally says cool on it. That's what it says. That's cool. And so I finally, oh God.
Toilet.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed, to be honest. I do kind of wish it had said toilet. I'm being attacked by...
Yeah, I think we need to go to sleep.
Yeah, we gotta sleep. Right? I'm gonna make some shears and find some sheep.
I mean, we could go to the village and just go night-night.
Oh, that's true. Let's do that. Yeah, I'm being attacked by wraiths, or banshees, or whatever the hell they're called. Oh God, this staircase
think-
sucks. Why did I make it like this?
I think going back to what you had said about like working on yourself, I think that that's really, really cool and something that I've been trying to do. Like, of course, like, you know, COVID has been, it looks different for everybody, right? Like, you know, for some other people, they might not be as like privileged to do so. And I think I'm grateful that like I'm in a place where I can focus on myself.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you too long, but I just realized that I'm very lucky to be where I am. And you're right, a lot of people don't get that. So you should utilize it. Is all I'm saying. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
That's what I've been thinking about too. You know, like I have these opportunities to, you know, work on yourself, and it's inspiring when like Sierra talks about it, or like when other people talk about like, yeah, I started picking up painting, or or I'm finally reading the books that I had been wanting to read. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best byproducts of like this situation, right? I guess that's the optimist in me, right? Is, you know, being able to sit down and, you know, take inventory of the stuff that you don't normally get to take inventory of, and pursue them, or you know, have them in as priority. Like I think one thing that I've been trying to do is like read a lot more, and I've been fortunate enough to do that, and also just to like be with my girlfriend and just spend a lot of time with her, which has been amazing. And then also just like pick up games like that I'd been on my backlog. Like I think college, a lot of people do this thing where they like, okay, I'm not going to play any games whatsoever, and then I'll play them in the summer or something.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was never like all in like that. I would just like uninstall some of the biggest time users that I had, and then just like play Stardew or something on the side.
Yeah.
Because like playing video games during the school year can be like, for me, it can be a little bit anxiety inducing, because I'm like, holy crap, I got to do all this other stuff, or I got to do stuff for LG, or I got to do stuff for, you know, DFA. And it's been really great that I've been able to go to my backlog of games and just like sift through them.
Yeah.
I think that was also something that was really funny with the exec team, was that like we were always so busy with with Longhorn Gaming that like most of us didn't even have time to play games anymore.
Wow, it's not something you realize. Like you're a part of the industry, sure, but then you don't get to experience what made you want to be a part of it. Yeah, and I think that's just like a matter of like finding the right balance, right? But like for me, it was just like, okay, I can only play for like 30 minutes or an hour, and then I got to go back to whatever I'm doing, you know? Yeah.
So this break has definitely been fun, and I did pick up Skyrim again too. And I had realized what had made Skyrim so great, like back in like 2011, because I had done something similar where like I had beaten the game in the beginning, and then I would pick it up again, but then like the beginning is such a trudge. I don't know.
Yeah,
like
it's a real slog.
Yeah, by the time I make a character, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah.
So being able to like, all right, you know what? I have time. I'm gonna explore a different area, or like play a different kind of character than I normally would have. And like now, I think I'm playing like a Redguard or something, and that's been fun. Because like it's more like strength based, and I usually do the stealth archer combo. And I don't know. I think Skyrim at the time when it came out was revolutionary for a lot of reasons. Like I think it had a really good way of like telling stories, and not necessarily through dialogue. And I think like you go through to like a bandit camp, or not a bandit camp, but you see like a camp on the side of the road, and you see a bunch of dead bodies or something, or you see like some notes scrawled across the floor, or you see like the items arranged a certain way, and there's like a story to be told.
Okay.
You know,
environmental storytelling is something that Skyrim excels so much at. And it's surprising for a game that came out like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah,
it like holds. I mean, you know, visually, it's not superb now. Just
remastered
comparatively. I mean, it still looks good, but the way, you know, and I don't want to kiss Todd Howard's ass too much. But they did a great job. And when I saw that Elder Scrolls 6 was coming out last year at E3, I almost went mental because I remember how much time I had spent on it. It's like, I think Skyrim is a masterclass in storytelling because I think it has a little bit of a crutch because it has previous games to help prop it up.
Yeah, like hype and stuff.
But I think it did a good job of setting itself apart because like I didn't even pay attention to the Elder Scrolls 5 part of the Skyrim title. I just paid attention to Skyrim, you know, like it could have been a standalone game and I would have accepted all the lore that came with it. Which is part of the reason I am not Skyrim specifically, but just like game story is part of the reason I was so interested and started pursuing game development because like oh my God, it's all a circle because guess what? You guys talked about this earlier. Creating something that someone sees and enjoys is like a point of pride.
Yeah.
You know, I have made things before that people have enjoyed. They've normally been really silly things. When I was in high school, however, I took an animation class where the goal of the class, it was an advanced course. The goal of the class was to make an animation in 6 months. And then after the first semester, you submit that animation to the UIL Young Filmmakers competition. And I believe I've told you this story before, Albert. But
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's at one point we were both in the UIL Young Filmmakers.
Yeah, I did. Were you a year after or a year before me? I feel like I remember that being the case.
I think the year after. I had worked on like the cinematography for a friend of mine, Sal's film.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're saying sorry.
No, you're fine. I'll get to the point. I worked on this animation with two of my classmates, one of whom is still a good friend of mine, and it did well. We got to the finals. It was like this crazy experience of submitting it, not knowing what anyone else was going to submit, save for the other people in our class, and then getting a piece of paper every few weeks that was like, all right, here's what the judges said about your piece, and here's if it's advancing or not. And every week it was like, we hoped against hope that we would advance, and we did. My animation and another one who was done by a solo artist in our class, who I was good friends with at the time, were the two first animations from our school to ever go that far. I believe we ended up getting 4th and 5th place respectively. And of course we belly ached. We were like, oh, we did better than that. Our story was better than that, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just a really cool experience. That was the first time I ever went to Austin, actually. They premiered the finals.
Oh, in the Paramount Theater.
At the Paramount Theater. That was I don't think I knew at the time. Oh, no. By the time the finals happened, I knew I was going to UT. And so now when I pass by the Paramount Theater, it's like a really nice memory. Because like my dad took me and he was so proud of me for that and for getting my UT acceptance letter. It was just a very big time for me. And so it was a very cool experience. And you guys have done that and get to do that like every day that you were part of the creative team or part of DFA or, whatever. The opportunities you've gotten just from like taking an hour to make a piece of art. Obviously I'm sure you put more effort into it than that.
Yeah.
but you get my allegory.
Yeah, I think being able to like make things and, having those things that you make give you opportunities is definitely like a great, I don't know, thrill seeking activity. It's not see recognition for the things that you do, especially when they're based on like your experiences or the things that you've worked on. And I don't know, I think I think that's just a beautiful thing.
I agree. What do you think, Sierra? Have you you think you'll ever? Well, I'm sure you have already, but do you think there's ever something that you'll do that like will get you to the big time?
I think so. I think like using my experience from LG, I'd like to use that to get a real job. And I think that like it's definitely helped my leadership skills and like my time management skills.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can apply that to any job that I get. But I think that like in general, I think LG has helped me make myself more comfortable talking to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm about to die. Hold on. I don't know what things are that are shooting me. But like using LG, I was able to like talk to people about like wanting to run the stream for Tekken. And that was like a really, really good experience because, you know, it wasn't a personal stream. I had never run anything that wasn't my own stream. And I got to learn about Tekken and fighting games and how the fighting game community worked. And that was something that I don't think I would have been able to do if I hadn't gotten into the esports industry through LG.
Yeah.
That's a really cool experience, and I imagine like it's very nuanced, you know, like the Tekken scene or like you know, communities based around like fighting games or like just, you know, any games in general. But like it's cool being able to peer into that like window, you know, especially like as an outsider and you're facilitating those things for them. I'm sure that was a really cool experience.
It was definitely different because when you think of like fighting games, you're like, oh yeah, you know, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and then there's like, but there's so many divisions within that the FGC is its own community with communities in it. And like people who play 2D games, some of them never pick up 3D games.
Yeah.
And some people play 2D games, they play like all the 2D games.
Yeah. I think there's a really weird, like, not weird, but maybe just off-putting, I guess. Like, I don't know, disconnect, I guess, between people who don't play fighting games and people who do. Because I feel like I didn't play Smash for a long time, and then I finally started because a friend of mine in high school wanted me to. And even just playing a game that is as, you know, like cartoony even as Smash got me into wanting to play like Killer Instinct, which is such a fun game. And there's this disconnect where again, like even with LG, there's people think that it's like this big, you know, sweaty community of people playing fighting games, like, you know, just because you buy the gear, like one of those I don't know what they're called, like arcade boards that have the buttons and the joystick. Yeah, exactly. Just because you buy one of those doesn't mean you're gonna, you know, scream your head off when you lose. And some people don't realize that, and I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that some people won't let themselves experience something like that because of what they think.
Yeah, I definitely feel like with fighting games, it's kind of intimidating for a lot of people to join. But picking up fighting games, the mentality behind them has been really, really interesting to learn about. And there's like a big focus on like respect in the fighting game community.
Yeah.
And like when you first show up to tournaments, oh, that's another thing too, I think, is that a lot of communities are online. And with fighting games, the true way to play is right across from each other, right next to each other.
Yeah.
And like online is its own thing completely different that you almost use as like a training tool for in person. And when you show up to your first like fighting game tournament, it feels like you definitely have to earn your place.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was really jarring to me at first.
Hmm.
Because, like, you know, usually when you play in like an online game, you get paired up with people who are around the same level as you.
Hmm.
But in like fighting games, you know, you get, when you've never played before, you get put up against someone who actually knows how to play their character, you know, and you're just sitting there getting comboed to death, and you're like, when do I get to play the game?
Yeah, like when do I have to not die to be able to enjoy this?
And I think the biggest thing about fighting games is that it's one-on-one. Someone has to lose. And if you're the person with the least amount of knowledge at the time, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
And I think that was really something that I didn't like at first.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to win, you know? Like, I practiced for 15 minutes yesterday. Like, I want to go to my first tournament and I want to win.
Yeah.
And, like, it just doesn't work that way. And I think that's one of the big things that fighting games has taught me, is that you can't win every single game. You just have to like pick something and learn from it. Because you're gonna get your butt kicked, but you might as well make it educational.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest things about fighting games is like there's so many different ways to approach it, you know? Like I feel like the type of knowledge that I got from Kevin was when I was playing Smash, and we lived with like 3 other people that played Smash, or 2 other people. I would get completely different advice from him than I would from one of my other roommates, you know?
Yeah.
And like it's cool when you go into a community, especially like the fighting community, and there are just so many ways or like philosophies when it comes to like how do you do well in this scene, you know? And then you kind of like pick up these little I guess like you share this knowledge with people, and you pick up pieces of knowledge, and you just kind of like it culminates into this experience and this like way of playing that kind of like transcends any other genre. That's been really interesting to me. It's just like being able to see like, okay, now I can see, okay, now you're playing like a little bit like Kevin, or you're playing a little bit like some favorite streamer, or like your friend, or you know, like you can sometimes see like the different you know, techniques or
Play style.
Yeah, play styles for sure.
Yeah. And when I feel bad for people who like, I don't want to single out people who like aren't outgoing, because I feel like I was that person, and I know that it would make me feel good to be like, oh, if you're not outgoing, you can't do anything, and which is not true. But if you only have like one person to play with, and that person is way better than you, you're not gonna want to play. Like if you only lose to this person, or multiple people even that you play with, like it sours the experience. I can tell you firsthand. Like I got into Smash the same time as a friend of mine, and we were playing together for a long time. But he would just spend so much more time like outside of school playing, and he got way better, way faster than me. And so I just, you know, I'm not really interested in playing Smash with him anymore. And he's like one of my best friends of all time, and I love the guy, but I just, you know, he plays Little Mac, and he's good, but he's really good at it, and that's the problem. Because he was like, I want to take a D class character, and I want to be good at him, and I was like, that'll be funny, and then he beat me every game, and it wasn't funny. You know, so I can understand why people would be like averse to wanting to try fighting games, but I think it's such a rewarding thing to do that you would be keeping yourself from a great experience by not. You know. Okay,
I'll just advocate for LG. I'll just be like, yeah, if you're looking for a place to have a community, like definitely join or something like that.
Yeah, all right. And I will plug, I don't really stream, but I'll plug my own Twitch, because maybe I'll start streaming again. Anyway, all right. We're gonna wrap up here pretty soon, but is there anything you two want to plug for the listeners and watchers?
I will plug my Twitch channel. You watch my Twitch. I play a lot of fighting games and FPS games at twitch.tv/poshnerd.
All right. And I will Will you type it out in the chat real fast,
Yeah.
just for the spelling? All right.
Yeah, I'll follow you too. I think I'm actually already following you, but
I don't think I am, but I will do that. And what about you, Albert?
Right now I don't have anything to plug, but hopefully in the future I will. But I will just say, if you are a UT student and you're looking for a community to just hang out, play some games, I would definitely recommend LG. It'll be a great highlight of your college career, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
From just like our conversations here and from experience.
I definitely agreed. All right. It has been, I sent a Discord message about this, but it has been 2 hours. I think we're ready to wrap up. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. Well, I want to thank anyone and everyone who was listening and watching for doing so. I have had a great time so far. I apologize to Albert for you not being able to finish your house.
No, you're good.
It's just sort of a bunch of columns. And
I'll leave
Sierra,
it
I guess, too.
Yeah, it's just glass and wood.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll have you on again sometime and you can finish up your houses. But for now, I'll leave them untouched as a monument. Anyway, thank you, everyone, again so much for patronizing this content. And thank you, Albert and Sierra, for being my guests. I had a wonderful time.
I did too.
Oh,
Very fun talking.
That's great. Hopefully we'll be able to do it again. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, see ya.